Some appraisers are really good at their job, others aren't. And we're going to get into that with realtors as well. I mean, you kind of see that in basically any profession.
How far are we away from some of this not even being necessary anymore because of the advent of technology, to where these properties and all the data that's recorded for them can be fairly easily evaluated without having a human being go out and look at it?
There's obviously a widespread discussion on alternatives to the appraisal, everything kind of from an automated valuation model or an AVM, like the Zestimate as kind of the most prime consumer example, to a traditional appraisal product. And I think where most people shake out is there's going to be a continuum of appraisal valuation products available and a menu based on each property type. So if it's in a subdivision in Houston, a D.R. Horton subdivision where everything looks the same and it's low LTV, you probably are not going to get an appraisal done on that product. But in a more complex environment with less properties that look identical, there's probably going to need to be an appraisal done almost in perpetuity. I think AVMs fail in very kind of complex or non-homogeneous marketplaces, and most cities in America, have kind of a diverse housing stock. So I don't think it's a one size fits all answer, but this was certainly, some of the dynamics that you're articulating is certainly kind of one of the reasons why we launched our company. Obviously, during COVID, you saw mortgage originations at an all-time high. You saw appraisal as really kind of one of these constraining bottlenecks in the whole mortgage manufacturing process because people couldn't get out to properties fast enough. You have labor supply of people where the average age is 63. They've been doing things a certain way for the last 20, 30 years. Some appraisers are really good at their job, others aren't. And we're going to get into that with realtors as well. I mean, you kind of see that in basically any profession.
Yeah, it's normal.
And so kind of what we see is, time adjustments, what you're talking about how the market was moving, appraisers weren't making those. And that was causing a lot of issues with the appraisal. And so what our kind of thesis is let's power the appraiser. They're still in the driver's seat. Let's give them technology. Let's make sure they're making those time adjustments. In COVID, for example, the time adjustments were historic. Nobody ever made a 4% per month, time adjustment on an appraisal report. But that's what you had to do in order to present a rigorous analysis that was credible at the time. And so we were able to kind of provide that analysis because of kind of the rigorous, data-driven approach to the software.
Well, I mean, I think that it's just like anything else. There's going to be a lane for all of these different pieces, just like there's never going to be not a need for a human being to go out and evaluate properties in certain circumstances, because like you said, markets are so diverse and so different, all across the country, that you can't eliminate the need for an appraiser entirely. But there will probably be more and more where these automated approvals come through. I mean, we see them still, on a fairly regular basis. For those that are putting down at least 20%, we'll get those appraisal waivers where we don't need an appraisal to go out and get that determined. And so I think that'll probably continue. I don't know if we'll ever get to a point if someone who isn't putting down 20%, 5, 10, less or the minimum, if we'll ever get waivers on those. And if not, then, obviously there's always going to be a place for a physical appraiser to go out there and look at it. But it is interesting to see how our industry as a whole, in one degree, it's difficult for technology to truly penetrate things sometimes because of the regulatory restrictions that we have in so many levels, whether it be state or federal, that it makes it a challenge sometimes for new technologies to penetrate quickly. It's a slow burn. But at least with what you guys are doing, it seems like it's more of a pairing of, hey, we're taking the traditional appraisal route and we're just giving you some extra tools so you can do your job a little bit more efficiently. And maybe one day, we'll see, costs never come down, but maybe, do it a little bit more cost effective as well.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think there's a way to do things more efficiently and to kind of increase the throughput of each individual appraiser. I mean, we're going to have no choice kind of based on where the labor pool is going and the fact that the, regulatory restrictions around making an appraiser, it still takes 1 to 2 years to make an appraiser. Volumes are at an all-time low. There's not a lot of people being trained into the industry right now. So technology is kind of the only way forward. I think that doesn't kind of lower the need for experts in the market, but let's elevate the top 10% of the appraisal community. Let's give them more reports to do because they're very good at their jobs, and kind of use technology to impact them.
Empower the 20% so they can do their job better. Yeah,
exactly.